Hello there. Over the many years I've been producing these videos, I have repeatedly been asked by people, why do they build narrowboats out of mild steel instead of something that doesn't rust like aluminium? And the answer is basically that steel is cheap, it's easy to weld, and it's very tough stuff, tougher even than aluminium. But there have been some canal boats made out of aluminium from a company called Sea Otter, which is no longer in business. And by and large those boats were pretty much conventional narrowboats, except that quite clearly, one day someone at Sea Otter had far too much caffeine, and they came up with this. The love child of a conventional narrowboat, a fiberglass cruiser and a space rocket, this 32-foot-long canal boat is quite unlike any other. For starters, it has this long sloping bow instead of a consistent height on the roof. Most unusually, it has a centre cockpit instead of steering from the stern. That in turn means you get a rear cabin, so the front and back areas are separate. And with no space for a tiller at the back or anywhere to stand, you'll be using a wheel in that covered middle cockpit instead. It really is like a cruiser layout adapted onto a narrowboat.
Sea Otter made these from about 2003 onwards to 2005, I think shortly before they went bankrupt for the first time, and they made somewhere around 10 or 11 of them, of which 8 are known to exist still. There is a large Sea Otters group on Facebook, and there is still a Sea Otters Owners Club where some of the actual original staff from the factory are members, and they will help supply the rubbing strips down the side of the boat and things like that, so they can point you in the direction of getting spares. Sea Otter originally said that they were never going to build a boat over 22 foot, but customer demand meant it became 24 foot and up to this size 32 foot hull. And these were the biggest boats that were towable. Out of the water, the boat weighs 3 tons. In the water, it has a double floor, and underneath there are holes all the way along the side. That allows it to fill up with water for ballast. So the boat weighs 4 tons in the water, 3 tons out of the water, and this can be trailered to where you want it, say the Caledonian Canal or across to France or anywhere you like really. And there are still people who offer the trailer service.
Let's do a tour and peek under that nose, which reveals a very cosy saloon with comfortable seating either side. This converts, if needed, to an extra double bed for guests or children or whatever. Behind those are cupboards. There's a surprising amount of storage space on this boat. On top of the cupboards are a telly, coffee maker and knickknacks. Opposite those is the galley, with fridge, sink, microwave and cooker. Step back through the cockpit and into the rear cabin and you find the main bedroom. Again, there are plenty of cupboards, but the bed is slightly cramped for taller folk due to the intrusion of the gunnels. What appears to be a cupboard turns out to be a small shower and toilet room with a Thetford cassette system next to a shower tray that forms the floor. There's a sink opposite with the shower head as the tap.
I've taken the boat away for 6 weeks at a time, and I do a mixture of solo cruising and having various children or wife and children on board. So it's actually great because you have 2 cabins with a double up here, a big double up here, a make-up bed, and a fixed double in the back. And apart from the fact that there's only 1 toilet, it's not a problem really. The kids can stay up till 2 in the morning playing computer games in here, and I'm not disturbed in the back. And as far as space goes, it's pretty spacious. 2 people on the deck, really. You wouldn't want more than 2 on the deck. 1 or 2 down here. 4 on board would be cramped. 3's okay. You can get all that around with 4, but it would be quite cramped.
Only a handful of these were ever built, but incredibly there's another one on the same moorings.
Well, my husband wanted a narrowboat, more of a traditional style. We'd had 2 cruisers previously, and I really like the idea of the cruiser because you have got the cover, you've got the canopy. If it's raining, you don't have to worry. Whereas I've seen so many people that obviously sit on the back, it rains, they get soaked. So anyway, that was the idea. And while we were looking, we actually found a picture of this, or a boat like this, not necessarily this one. And we just really liked the idea of it, so we thought we'd go and visit and fell in love with it.
Really oddly, despite the small number of these boats, they weren't all made the same. Burl's back cabin reaches almost all the way to the stern, but Helen's has a cruiser deck just big enough to sit on. As a result, Burl's boat has the engine under the cockpit, using hydraulics to turn the propeller. Also under there is the plumbing, with hot water cylinder, pump, accumulator and the main water tank. With the latter bang in the middle of the boat, there's no adjustment to how the boat sits as the tank levels rise or fall. His hydraulic propulsion and steering is just about accessible through a small hatch at the rear. Helen's boat has the engine in the usual position at the back under the cruiser deck, with a storage space under the centre cockpit instead. And whilst they're both steered from the middle, the internal layouts are swapped around, with Helen's boat having not the bedroom but the saloon and galley in the square section at the rear. And there's a permanently made up bed with the shower room in the front.
The fact that we've got 2 cabins, that's great, because if you want people on board to stay overnight, come away with you for a weekend, this side, although what I'm sitting on here looks like a sofa, it will double up as a bed. And we've got a spare toilet which we can bring out. You've got a sink there because this is the kitchen. So this is a self-contained bedroom really, and the same for us in the front, so it's complete privacy, which is great.
The engines on both boats are standard diesel units with easy access for maintenance. The same cannot be said for the weed hatch, particularly on Burl's boat where it's underneath the steering mechanism. Where conventional narrowboats are steered by a tiller at the back, these have wheel steering in the middle, giving a different take on handling.
It's very responsive. It will stop in its own length from full throttle, and it accelerates very quickly. It's very light. It does get blown around in the wind a bit, and as you're going along you have to remember that the stern moves behind you because you're not standing on the back of the boat. But other than that, you get used to it very quickly, and after a few bumps on the rear coming out of locks and so on, you work it out and you're fine. It's easy.
Being aluminium, of course, means scratches like these from 5 years ago just don't rust. It's a huge advantage over steel.
You don't have so much maintenance as you would on a steel narrowboat. That to me is a real big thing, because you're constantly having to touch up paint, get rid of rust, and for us, because this is aluminium, we don't have any of that. So we can spend more money on doing alterations and things to improve it rather than the maintenance side, which is great. And of course more time cruising. The
blacking is purely cosmetic. I have had it done once when the boat was out of the water for a faulty bow thruster. Okay, it's not entirely no maintenance, but it's the normal maintenance things that you'd have on a boat, like paintwork, are not a problem. So the hull's very low maintenance, but obviously the engine needs servicing. It has a little pump to remove the oil, so it's very easy to do that. And the hydraulic drive needs servicing once every 5 years.
Both boats have all the usual modern electricals to power things on board, though Burl's made some hefty upgrades.
Well, when I got the boat, it had 275 amp leisure batteries, which I didn't really deem enough to power the fridge for more than a couple of days moored up. So I put 4 110 gels in it. There's a couple of solar panels up on the roof here. I've put a 1.8 kilowatt sine wave inverter in to power a microwave in the kitchen and an induction hob, and to run a TV. So we could use mains when we were out cruising.
There's a different approach on Helen's boat, with a portable solar panel spread out over that back deck. This is fed in through the sliding rear window to charge up a portable battery pack. Though they've taken it a fair distance themselves, Helen and her husband have discovered their boat has travelled quite extensively.
We were on the Riverway, and we've been up and down the Riverway on her, which is 19 miles long, so we've done the whole of that a few times on her. We have been on the Thames several times, and we're now on our new mooring. We've been here about 2 months now, and we're on the Kennet and Avon near Reading. We bumped into a guy last year who recognised the boat, spoke to us, and he told us that this boat had been all over the network in the UK. They'd also trailed it, taken it up to Scotland, and they'd also taken it over to Ireland. So we were quite amazed that we probably can't take this boat anywhere it hasn't already been.
Intriguingly, because of the use of non-rusting aluminium for the hull, sea otters are able to use canal water itself to ballast the boat, rather than having to load up with lead weights or concrete. Think of it like a controlled partial sinking of the boat and you get the idea. The water's taken on board when you launch and drained when you haul out, which helps keep the boat light enough for towing. Also unusually, you can turn this boat into a drop top for those occasional British sunny days. A bit of rolling up and clipping back of the canopy can be followed by flipping the windscreen down if you need to go under any particularly low bridges. Truly, this is a most versatile boat. I've even just spotted one of these unusual craft for sale on Apollo Duck with yet another slightly different design, so if you want one, they're very rare. Get in quick. Thanks for watching. Cheerio.